We are about to completely restructure your relationship with money through the perspective lens of the wizard archetype and the beautiful messages and medicine that they have to offer us in their lives and how to embody their beautiful magic. You're going to want to save this video because it's about 15 minutes long, so that way you can come back to it in the future as well and re-listen. And if you really resonate with this journey that we are about to go on, I do suggest signing up for the full course. This is where you're going to connect with not only the wizard, but the magician, mage, sorceress, enchantress, alchemist, and the witch. If you would like to sign up, you can do that in my bio or in my comments. Now let's go ahead and get into the wizard's wealth activation. Greetings, traveler, and welcome back. Today we are connecting with the archetypal energies of the wizard. As we have spoken about before, there is going to be a lot of symbolism, metaphors, analogies, euphemisms, especially with the wizard's message today on wealth. When I was channeling this with you in your energy body, your astral body, I said, oh, okay, this one is giving a little bit more esoteric, higher level concepts, seeing the big picture of ourselves. So let's go ahead and get into it. When I went into your energy field, we were standing outside and it was nighttime. We're looking up at the stars, and when we look in front of us, the wizard is there waiting to greet us. We were also in front of a massive telescope, huge, one that you would see at an astronomer's observatory. It's giving professional grade, but it was really, really big. And the wizard asked us to step up next to the telescope. Wizard said, we are going to be talking about your origin story today. You are so much more beyond financial wealth. That is a part of us as our core essence. And an example that they use is when we're saying affirmations such as, I am abundance, I am prosperity. Not necessarily something that we are manifesting or actualizing outside of us externally. It's a part of us as a being. I am prosperity, I am abundance. But the wizard is coming in to showcase that it goes or extends far above that. And the wizard said, look within your soul. You closed your eyes and went within. And this is when we went deeper into your energy field. You and I were standing in the dark, if you will. And there was a flash of light that was beaming like this. We walked over to the spark of light and said, well, hello, who or what are you? And the spark said, I'm you, of course. And you said, me? And the spark said, yes, you. Then the light, you, said, come with me to the land of the living, where primordial energy takes form. It's turning into actual matter. And then this is when you and I moved into a different dimensional space and we're looking around like, okay, this is definitely not giving our world right now. And you asked, where are we? And then this is when the wizard appeared where we are. And he said, the land before time. And that is a reference to a TV show about dinosaurs. And when we looked over, there were dinosaurs walking around everywhere. We were in the prehistoric time in history. And you said, oh, look, there's a brontosaurus. You looked at the wizard and said, is this going to be like Jurassic Park? You know, where the humans go to visit the dinosaur theme park, and then it ends up being this whole scenario of them getting chased. And the wizard said, do you want it to be? And you said, no. The wizard said, okay, moving on, and snapped their fingers. Then we came out to a field, and there was two gentlemen standing there in an airplane. And what we were viewing was the moment in history, or a moment in history, where the Wright brothers were working on the first airplane. We asked the wizard, what are we doing here? Because it was very random to go from dinosaur land over here and then jump forward in time and then be viewing the Wright brothers. So you said, "What are we doing here?" And the wizard said, "Such a curious mind. What do you think that we're doing here?" Because, you know, that's how our guides like to quiz us. And you thought about it and said, "To show that innovation can happen in such a short time period." And you said, "Well, that's not really a short amount of time." There is a big gap in between dinosaurs over here and the first airplane taking flight. And the wizard looked at you and said, Is it not?" And you thought about it for a minute and said, "Well, I suppose in relation to the birth of existence in and of itself, it is a very short span of time." Then we looked down at the ground and saw a clover, like a 4-leaf clover. It was a big patch of a bunch of them. And there was a ladybug that was crawling around on one of the leaves. And you realized that you were actually the ladybug on the clover, looking up at yourself and me and the wizard. And then you standing with us was looking down at yourself as the ladybug. And this will be a good reflection to ask self of, why did we have a ladybug and a clover in conjunction show up in this analogy? Like, what does that mean to you in regards to wealth and financial abundance? I looked at the wizard and said, "How am I in 2 different places at once?" Wizard said, "Very good question." Because, you know, you're the person looking at the ladybug and then the ladybug looking, you know, at you. And, you know, the wizard's not going to give us exact answers. This is about self-discovery. And we all waited for a second. And you said, "Is it because I am one with everything?" Then we moved into a different section of your energy field, and you actually became a star in the sky. The embodiment of a star, existing as one. In front of you was another star. Not super close, because, you know, stars are kind of far away from one another, but you could see it in your peripheral. And you were thinking to yourself, "Wow, they are so beautiful." Talking about the star, they're so beautiful. I wonder what it would be like to exist as them. Not detracting from your own beauty and wonderment and being this star, but you were very curious about what would it be like to be a different star. And with that question, you decided to take all of your life force energy and transport yourself into the other star. You moved your personal energy from where you were to where you wanted to be. Not from a place of comparison, but from appreciation. And then I came in overhead and asked, "What does it feel like to be a star?" And you said, "I feel grand." What an honor to light up the universe and inspire people that there is more out there from where they are standing currently. And the analogy for that is not necessarily coming from a place of escapism, like I don't like where I'm at and I want to get elsewhere. It's more about understanding that there are multiple versions of you. There are more of self than what we are seeing when we are looking in the mirror here during this incarnation. The wizard came back to speak with us, looked at you and asked, "What have you learned thus far?" You looked at your hands and said, "I am the energy that moves through all things. I have been and will be every experience. Everything is available to me. All I need to do is reach." And you held your hands out towards the sky. The wizard asked, "What do you want to do next?" And you said, "I want to ride the waves of abundance." And you paused for a second. What you were going to say is, "I want to ride the waves of abundance." You said, "Actually, I want to be the ocean. I want to experience my own currents," which I thought was really funny because it's like a pun. Currents, currency. Then you actually turned into the ocean itself and said, "There is so much life within me." You were thinking about the coral, the sea creatures, people that were experiencing water-based activities like scuba diving or sailing, even taking into account the seagulls that were flying over you as the ocean. And you said, "I am life itself." Then you and I were on a ship sailing on the ocean. And you were a pirate, like the pirate captain of the ship, and you had all of the get up on, and you looked at me and said, "Arg, me matey." This is you with a hook hand. Like Hook from Peter Pan. Then we both turned and you said, "Look at me." And you were observing yourself as the ocean in a different perspective. You said, "Look at me," and got really teary-eyed, and we were wiping them away and said, "Aren't I beautiful? Every existence that I have lived is a work of art." This is when you, as source or primordial energy or your oversoul, whatever you like to reference it as, took us to an art gallery. So there's you and me and the wizard over here. And then we're looking at this different version of you who was sitting on a stool in front of a canvas. What they were doing was painting a picture or painting a depiction of your current incarnation, you right now. And when we looked over to our right, there were halls and halls and halls, hallways, so many of them that were full of canvases. Canvases that you created as source, primordial energy, your oversoul. And I looked at you and said, "You're giving cosmic Bob Ross." You had like an artist palette in your hand and a paintbrush sitting on this canvas. All of these in the hallway are representors of your different timeline experiences. And you as source, who was creating this, said this is something that you can do with wealth as well. You can embody different versions of yourself that have been very financially prosperous. All you need to do is walk up and study the canvas. Every version of you is here. Not just your past lives, every timeline in existence. Infinite canvases. Your canvas is going to be unique to this lifetime that you are now experiencing, but it is okay to look at the influences of others to create new inspiration for your own. Everything is a reflection of everything. It's the mirror effect. And what they meant by this was oftentimes we can feel very lost on our journey, but Source is here to remind us, hey, you're everything. You're not cut off from anything. It is all available to you if you point your energy, attention, and intentions at your desires, and you will be able to connect with these multitudes of versions that have been financially prosperous in their different incarnations and pull those insights through in order to weave that into your incarnation in the here and now. This is an activation today to open up those lines of communication so that you can hear and perceive them more clearly and have the keys to access the art gallery. Okay, we're opening it up. It is open for business so that you can go and find these canvases to study. Then you and I and the wizard were back onto the observation deck with the giant telescope pointing up into the sky with all the stars. Wizard said this was a lesson in perceptual awareness shifts, expanding outside of one's own consciousness and life experience. You are the all, and the all is you. Remember, desire, attention, and intention are how we move and direct our energy towards the experiences that we are wanting to have. And again, this wealth activation today is about connecting to more multi-dimensional facets of self to highlight and showcase you are source. You are creating everything and you have access to the all. This is going to amplify your channeling abilities of self. We thank the wizards so very much for sharing their wisdom, insights, and downloads, medicine, and magic with us. We want to work with these in conjunction with the description, the legendary wizards, the pictures, the music, the personality traits, so we have a better understanding of the wizard's energy and how to call upon them in our lives. I am so excited to see you in the next section, where we are going to be connecting with the archetypal energy of the witch.